to stand up and sing. We're going to sing a song by Ricky Byers called I Trust in God, and she's going to be singing along with us. We have the lyrics. Give it up. Next slide.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
To see Sacramento CSL. Woo! Anyway, it's a great Sunday. We're together in person. We get to share, and we have our beautiful website here to look at. And it's just go to our website, sacramentocsl.org, and we built this website especially for you and us. And everything's on there, classes, workshops, and you can even leave a prayer. We love to pray. and you can send your friends here and for prayer. If they want prayer, tell them it works, they'll be back. And please use our donate button to send your wonderful, appreciated donations that are tax deductible, and taxes are coming up. And so that's the ongoing events here for our Sunday service. And Now I will do the invocation. Okay. Taking a deep breath. And know that I am surrounded in this perfect presence of all there is. Harmony and peace, abundance and love and balance and all that's good, it's all that's God. And as I know this for me, I know this for each individual here sitting in these chairs. And I know for each individual out there in YouTube, in Zoom, wherever you may be viewing us from, welcome. For you and I and all of us are one and the same. And so we bless our service today, and we are so excited today to have Reverend Debbie and Reverend Patricia. And so we take it together, we bless it, and we give thanks, and together we say, and so it is. All right, and now for our readings. Our gratitude makes no difference to God's source. The difference it makes is to ourselves and our experience in the world. A grateful heart does not need something to be grateful for. With the same spontaneity as joy, it simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy. That's our error by the word, spiritual economics. And from Ernest Holmes from Science of Mind, the elder son had missed the mark as well as the younger, for he had been living in the midst of plenty and had not recognized it. He needed but to have asked, and he would have retrieved all that the Father had. And then again, from Ernest Holmes, it is the great negations of life that we have to surrender the doubts and fears and uncertainties, the coldness and unkindness and lack of love. And from Richard Roth, falling upward, your true self is who you objectively are from the beginning in the mind and heart of God. The surrendering of our false self is necessary to find the pearls of great price. Richard Roth. And before I introduce our wonderful, talented, beautiful Suzanne, I want to mention it's going to be a live concert in the Monty Center in Cameron Park, where I live. And it's at 7 p.m. It's Saturday, February 4th. It's single ticket is $25. You bring a friend, it's $45. And
who is it?
That's what?
Who's the concert?
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary Lynn Floyd.
Woo!
Oh, I'm sorry.
Gary the lead.
And anyway, it's and there is appetizers and drinks for $50, limited to 20 people if you want to go a little early and me and kind of have a personal meeting with him.
You mean we get to hang out with Gary?
Gary.
Yeah, hang out with him.
Floyd, and it's Cameron Park's off Highway 50, and Cambridge exit. So that's that.
And there's flyers in the back?
Huh?
There are flyers in the back.
Okay, yes, the flyers are in the back. In fact, I have one, I'm going to return it. Okay, so now we have our beautiful Suzanne Baldwin, who I was so privileged to meet, really get to know. The board on her retreat, we did a retreat with her. She kept us, like the synchronicity and everything was flowing, and she kept us busy. Suzanne Baldwin, please come up.
Gotta keep these people busy, right?
You're fine.
Is the mic on?
yes.
Thank you.
And all I feel is all because of you. All I read and all I sow, and love is our living proof. Thank you for life. Thank you for everything. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you. Seasons come and seasons go, no matter what we choose. A thousand names, a thousand words, all lead to one simple truth. Thank you for life. Thank you for everything. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you. Thank you for everything. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you. I thank you.
And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce two of our wonderful ministers of Sacramento CSL, Reverend Patricia, VanWoerkom, and Reverend Debbie Putnam. Please give a warm welcome to our two great ministers.
Good morning, good morning. We're going to do something a little different this week. Debbie and I have spent a lot of time over the years teaching. And one of the things we do before we start teaching is we get together and plan what we're going to do. And we always have these fabulous conversations about whatever topic we're going to do. But most of what happens in the conversation, in some sense, stays on the cutting floor. It doesn't really make it into the class, and that energy doesn't make it into the class. So we thought we'd try to recreate that kind of spontaneously here and just have a conversation. And the topics this week are gratitude and surrender, which are just so rich.
Gratitude and surrender, you want to put those in the same conversation? Wait, can we have a conversation about this? Because I'm not sure I'm totally in.
Well, you know me.
So Ernest Holmes actually used to have kind of fireside chats. You know, he was known for this armchair warmth of discussion that kind of invited people into the conversation. And today we want to welcome you into our living room for a coffee chat with your ministers. And before we get too far along, can everybody hear us okay?
Yes.
Perfect. And we do have, if you want to temporarily sit in the front row, if you want to be a little closer to the conversation, you can move up real quick. And if you don't, that's okay. Just thought I'd offer that. All right, so today we are going to somehow tie together, is this what you're telling me? We're going to somehow tie together gratitude and surrender. Like, you can even talk about these at the same time. We're going to have some words about that. Could you read me the first quote? Because
That's the words we're going to have.
Okay.
We're going to go back through these.
Okay.
Here we go.
Luckily, I have a copy.
Our gratitude makes no difference to God, source. The difference it makes is to ourselves and our experience of the world. A grateful heart, on that song that you just sang, my God, that's it. That's the essence of this quote. A grateful heart does not need something to be grateful for with the same spontaneity as joy. It simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy. Isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful. There's so much to unpack in just this one quote. Sorry, I got the echo for a second. Our gratitude makes no difference to God or source. So we're doing it for ourselves. That's the gratitude piece, right? And so I'm thinking of this teaching story, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. It's one of my favorites. So there was this, it's told as a Quaker story. Emmett Fox tells it, that there was this Quaker community, and there was this man who was moving from one village to another. And so he was walking down the road as he was moving his things. It was back in the day when you physically moved your things. Maybe he put them in his U-Haul, I don't know. And he met a wise Quaker on the road. And he said, how are the people in this next town? And the Quakers said, well, how are those people where you came from, this town you're moving from? Tell me about them. Oh, well, they were judgmental, and they said all these negative things, and they were noisy late at night, and they were just really annoying to get along with. That's why I'm moving. And the Quaker said, you will find those in the next town, too. That's what the next town is like. And then a couple months later, another man decided to move to the new town. And so he made the same journey. He's going down the road, and he meets the wise Quaker. And the Quaker asks him the same question. It's the same conversation, right? So, what are the people like in this town that I'm going to? I haven't heard much about them. And the Quaker says, what were the people like in the town you came from? Well, they were loving and wonderful. They invited me into their homes. I had such connected relationships. I will really miss some of them, and I'm going to stay in touch. It was a wonderful town. And the Quaker says, that's what you will find in this town, too. It is the same. And so that's what I reflect on when I look at this. Our gratitude, our sense of what is going on around us makes no difference to God or source, right? Because God or source is always, I want to think, shining in through the window, kind of like whatever light, it might not be sunlight, but there's always light, even if it's the moonlight shining in through the window. But do we have the curtains open? And so that's the question.
What hits me, and it is with that, is that last phrase about the causative energy. And I think about snowballs. You know how you start with a small snowball and it rolls down the hill and it just picks up and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The first guy, the core of his snowball, his attitude towards life was one of irritation and annoyance and all of that. And the second guy had much more love and gratitude, and that became the causative, the core of his snowball that rolled down and gathered more of like to it. So I like that gratitude is our core, that it gets larger and larger as it rolls through our life. It's that causative energy.
So so from that statement, I like that a lot. I like that concept. But I'm getting the impression that either we have gratitude or we don't. And that can't be true. So how do we shift from a causative energy, how do we shift from a core of feeling like everybody's out to get us or just lack of self-worth or any of those things to a core of gratitude? How do we make that change?
Psychologists, I think, would call it a pattern interrupt. Because when a pattern interrupt. So if I'm stuck in a core of anger or frustration or annoyance, what's going to break me out of that? Because I think gratitude is always, it's like joy. It's like love. It's always available. It's just what makes me connect to it. And if I'm all wrapped up in my energetic core of something that's unlike gratitude, unlike joy, unlike love, I need to break that pattern. So treatment would be a good one. But actually, just stopping and going, wait a minute, what am I doing? Where am I going with this? What am I holding on to? Let me just breathe and let go for a minute. Let me just breathe. Or take a walk.
That's what I'm thinking, is sometimes it might actually be, did you know that there's a thing called thresholding? So when you go to, I don't know if anybody's had the situation where you walk from one room into the other because you're going to go get the whatever and you go, wait, what was that? And you think, oh my gosh, my memory is like tanked. What's wrong with me? And in fact, it is simply a psychological pattern that has something to do with crossing a threshold. So literally when we cross a threshold, we have interrupted some kind of mind space where we were before. And that's why we can't remember it. So if we walk outside, if we go outside, of course there's the gift of being outside, but I'm thinking there's that pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
That because we've crossed that threshold and we're doing it consciously this time, we're inviting it into our lives because here's something we actually don't want to keep. Mm-hmm. I like that idea.
Yeah, I do too. One of the things, the notes that we got from CSL talks about the gratitude step in treatment. You know, how that's the fourth step. It's after you've had your realization and you know the truth. Then there's gratitude. And it just struck me that gratitude can be for the past, what has happened. You know, that everything that has happened in my life to bring me here is actually a good thing. So I can be grateful for it even though I wasn't grateful at the time. And I can be grateful for the present moment. But in treatment, we literally are being grateful for the future. Because in treatment, I have claimed the truth, but it may not have manifested yet. But I know it's true. I have the faith of that. And I can be totally grateful that I know that's going to happen. It has no choice. I've done the work. I have the intent. I've stated the truth. It's into the law. It's going to happen. And I can be grateful knowing that that's going to happen. But it didn't occur to me that it could be past, present, and future. But that's really what the part of the treatment is.
I love that. And I think that at that point, that gratitude step, and when we're doing treatment, we're actually no longer in the future. We have brought what we might call the future. It's the external circumstance versus what we've birthed, not versus, and what we've birthed inside. So what I've birthed inside is already my present reality. And I'm being grateful for that. I'm being grateful for my present. We're being grateful for our present, even though we don't see it out there yet. And so I'm in the midst of that right now, and I could use your help, I could use everybody's help. I actually applied for a promotion at my workplace, and I had an interview on Friday. And I did part of it well, and part of it I felt like I tanked, despite all the prep and all the, all the things. And so I kicked myself, and I stayed up in the middle of the, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh, why did I do this? And I did some energy clearing work, and I am enough, I'm good enough, I'm worthy. Everybody say, I'm enough.
I'm enough.
I'm good enough.
I'm good enough.
I'm worthy of my good.
I'm worthy of my good.
And it is right here and right now.
Right now.
So I started thinking about these ideas of, okay, here's what I'm going to do if I don't get that job. I'm going to apply for other jobs. I'm like, what the heck? What is my spiritual practice? What the heck am I doing? And my husband was kind of listening to me going, treatment, it's time for you to treat right now. So sometimes partners and prayer partners and friends are helpful, like call someone or text someone saying, please reboot me. So I could use everybody's reboot, but I am really continually bringing myself back when I think of it to that place of knowing. And that's what you're talking about as, it's like future state in the present.
Yeah. And I think that knowing has to be wrapped in gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, if I'm not wrapping it in gratitude, I'm worried it's not going to happen, so I'm in doubt.
Okay.
And I'm holding on. And if I'm holding on, I'm not letting go and letting the law manifest. So gratitude helps me take my sticky fingers off of it and work with trust.
So going back to, I like that so much. I want to stay there, but I also have a question, which is what happens.
We have three
like
books.
three. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going. So if gratitude is also in the present, what if I don't really like my present? What if I'm not really happy with where I am? It might be hard for me to be grateful. Tell me about the prodigal son. Wait, let me read you this book. Can you click it up?
Yes.
So this is Ernest Holmes' take on a piece of the prodigal son's story. The elder son had missed the mark as well as the younger, for he had been living in the midst of plenty and had not recognized it. He needed but to have asked, and he would have retrieved all that the father had.
They make such a big deal when any minister talks about the prodigal son, about how he goes out into the land of plenty and lives in riot and whatever the words are. And then he comes home miserable, realizing that he had the best at home. And then the older son has an absolute snit.
Yes.
It's like, wait a minute. I've been the good boy. I've stayed home. I did all the work. What about me? And the father looks at him and says, you could have had this anytime you wanted. Anytime. And I'm wondering, this is my story. That's why I think I relate to it so well. I've always been the good girl. I've done my duty. I took care of things. I worked for 30 years for the same place, and I took care of everybody. I was the institutional memory. I knew what was going on. I had to make sure everybody was in the right place. But what about me? When did I take the time to be aware? Luckily, I did a lot, but of everything I had in that job. I loved the people I was working with. That I was of service, which is really important to me. I worked for a nonprofit, and I was in service to the members of this organization. But it's so easy to forget that when we're busy in the busyness of our lives. And I think that's just a place that we can sink into gratitude. Just to stand there, back to the words of the song, just stand there and know that there is so much in front of me. I need to open my eyes and recognize it. And the elder son didn't. And how much did he miss of what could have been his? So it's like looking at my life going, and Sharon's telescope, I can look at what's not working and what annoys me, or I can look at the richness of what's in my life. And every one of us have richness in our life. And yet we have annoyances. Okay? That's part of how we grow. But that richness is always there. So I love the prodigal son.
And I think that's why it captures our imagination so much. So we have this fellow who goes to the drugs and has this huge transitional aha moment. And I think we've all had those moments, and may still have more of them, in our lives where we realize we need to make a change. Something needs to radically change.
You're looking at the younger son. And
I'm talking about the younger son,
Yeah, who hits bottom.
So he gets home. He hits bottom, as is said in the 12-step programs, and we all have different bottoms at different times. And then he comes home, and he is welcomed with joy because he has now welcomed his future that is now his present with joy. And the elder son hasn't had that moment yet.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, this is part one of the story, and you got to figure out part two. Part two is the elder son is having his aha moment when he when he gets jealous of his brother and talks to Daddy, hi God, Mommy, to the infinite presence, the infinite all that is, to know that he can recognize his good, but he's the one who has to embrace it. And that is what you're saying.
Yes.
So how does that tie to surrender? I give her the hard questions.
Luckily, we have a quote for that one. You want to read it?
I would love to. It is the great negations of life that we have to surrender. The doubts and fears and uncertainties, the coldness and unkindness and lack of love.
The word surrender invariably brings up a sense of having to surrender to something outside, to someone else's will, to the power of someone else over us. And that's not what we're talking about at all. It's what I have to let go of is my resentments, my inflated ego that thinks it can control everything. Does anybody have one of those? It's my way. Actually, we were talking about this when we were talking about the talk, is that that whole sense of control really is based on fear. If I'm not in control, something terrible is going to happen. You know, either it's going to fail, which means I'm a failure, or someone's going to see behind my mask and see who's really there, that whole imposter syndrome, you know, that we all have. Well, not we all have, but it's common. And I have to let go of all of that in order to realize who I truly am. I picked up this phrase recently about we are star seeds. I don't know where it came from, but I love that sense of I'm the seed of this brilliant light. You know, and suns provide so much to a planet. It's not just light to see and all the energy waves from that, and the plants grow and all kinds of stuff. Okay, it's life-giving, and there's something in all of us. We were seeded from birth, and everything that's unlike it, I've picked up in order to be human, to fit in, to survive. For some of us, I have to let all that go because it's not who I am. And I can pick and choose the strengths that I do have to grow. I mean, I don't come into this world, I may have the seed, but I still have to grow. Okay? So those roots and the trunk and the blooms or the leaves or something, it still requires me to grow and build and get stronger in some ways. So that I get to keep. But all the things that I put up for, based on fear, based on hiding my light, you know, that's the old phrase about don't hide your light under a bushel basket. Boy, some of us, no, let me speak for myself. I've had some pretty decorative baskets over my life. And it doesn't matter how pretty it is. The basket's got to go. Okay? I got to trust that the light is sufficient. And surrender all that is not the light.
So I as I listened to you, and that was brilliant, what I'm hearing though is, I don't think that I have to go, that any of us have to go from complete self-doubt, lack of self-worth, all those things, to complete gratitude and knowing we are perfect for the rest of our lives in one fell swoop. So there's this process, this evolution, this iterative process, and I think that's why I, sometimes in treatment, you guys have heard me speak this, go back to that next greatest version of the grandest vision of who I really am. What is the next greatest version of the grandest vision of who I really am? And that could be it sounds very big and visionary, and it is, but it also is just an invitation to evolution, a knowledge, an awareness that I can transform.
Mm-hmm.
And also what I'm hearing is that, I love this core and snowball metaphor we talked about earlier, that when the core that is snowballing is these things that Ernest Holmes talked about, doubts and fears and uncertainties and coldness and unkindness and lack of love. When it's any of that stuff, that is not the truth. That core is not actually me. That core is kind of a thing that's lodged in me that I can get rid of somehow. Whether it's spiritual mind treatment, meditation, energy work, taking a walk outside and really imbibing the pine forest. There are various practices. Seeing a therapist when it's needed, working through trauma. There's a lot of ways of doing this depending on what's needed. And then there's the true core. And that core, we don't have to find it. It is healing is revealing. That core is always there, the core of blessedness, of good, that we are created innocent. What do you like to say? That we're born in original, what's that phrase? It's not original sin. It's original blessing. We are an original blessing. So we are an original blessing, and that is our origin story. In fiction, I write, they talk about your origin story. What is the origin story? Our origin story is that we are created in the image and likeness of this incredible creator, this divine, that has looked at all of us in the biblical version and says, behold, it is very good. But it is always the infinite beholding itself as us. And so our work then is knowing more and more that we are that it is working through my hands, it is working through my feet, it is working through my head, it is working through this talk.
I have so much stuff going on in my head. I'm thinking of that starseed as being the true core of the snowball.
Yes.
Okay? And then what we wrap around it is love or gratitude or the resistance and the false self that we build to be in the world. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you're right. The snowball, when it's big enough, doesn't just melt. Okay? The layers have to come off. Switch metaphor to an onion here. The layers have to come off. Okay? Mm-hmm. But at the center of it is this glowing warmth of truth. And if you give it a chance, if you just give it a chance, it's going to melt all that snow, all that cold, the unkindness that isn't really us, and get us back down to the core of who we are.
I think there's a phrase for that. Could you click to the next slide?
Not quite yet.
Oh,
Not quite
because I
yet.
wanted to talk about the pearl of great price.
I know, we're going to get there.
Okay, you promise?
Yeah, I promise.
All right.
The other thing that came up while you were talking about this, it's a Richard Bach quote about, and it goes with it doesn't all melt, we don't go from covered up false self back to original glowing, grown, sprouted starseed in one fell swoop. And Richard Bach, it's an illusions book, and the main character talks to the Messiah and says, how do I know what I came here to do? How do I know what I've done?
Yes.
And the response is, if you're still here, you're not done. But that made me think that it's not supposed to be a one-shot does it. It's supposed to be a lifelong journey of unfoldment, of growth, of recognition, of accepting my own greatness And that's the Marianne Williamson poem that I talked about last week, that we're afraid of our strength and our beauty. Okay? So it takes some time to accept that, especially when we grew up in this life with people who didn't recognize our starseed, who didn't see our greatness. And we have to trust that that's there and get to know it, and melt the snowball. Okay? And when you melt the snowball, then, whoops, other direction. Richard Moore, I'll read it for you. I love Richard Moore. You guys know that I've been quoting him a lot in the last couple of years. Your true self is who you objectively are from the beginning in the mind and heart of God. The surrendering of our false self is necessary to find the pearl of great price. So true.
I think that's what we have been talking about all along. And so I actually, since we have invited these wonderful people into, these wonderful starseeds into our living room, I would like each of you to think of something in your life, whether it's big or small, where you're ready to let go of, you would like to make a different decision. You would like to let go of the core of something that's, whether it's an annoyance or whether it's a full-on...
Not the core, the wrapping around the core.
Okay, the wrapping around the core.
The negative self-belief, the doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So find that thing. Just take a moment. A thing. And if you feel comfortable, just tell it to us in the room. We'll repeat it. If it's not something you're comfortable with, obviously don't say it. You know. But if there's anything, you know, even if it's just self-doubt or whatever, if there's anything you want to say, please tell us.
What wrapping around your core are you ready to let go of?
I am not enough.
I am not enough. Oh, I'm with you, sister.
It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The appearance is.
Yeah. I've accepted the appearance as real. Yeah, it's never going to happen. Let go of it.
Anyone else? One or two more?
Yes, Carol.
Taking all the classes I've taken on abundance and prosperity, I still have trouble every day making that part of my life. I mean, what I've learned.
Yeah, the doubt that, to let the knowing of that I'm an abundant person actually live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. The stifling.
I think these are all amazing and honestly so universal.
That one.
Good.
I don't know if this is quite what doesn't quite fit with the other answers, but my thought was accepting my shyness.
Oh, I love that.
So it's self-acceptance?
Well,
Yeah,
certainly,
in a
and
sense.
that's a specific quality. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think many of us have a primary quality that wasn't appreciated and valued growing up, but it's who we are. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's accepting who I am and letting go of the judgments that it's not right in some way. Anybody can resonate with that? Got something? Yeah.
Trust.
Trust. Open to trust.
Open to trust. And so with that thing in mind, whether you've spoken it or haven't spoken it, or whether you just want to grab up everything everybody said and that's your thing, close your eyes if you want to and just tap your fingers together for a sec and just let them rest and just take a breath. And allow yourself to be right here and right now in this breath. And just take another breath. Big breaths, small breaths, all breaths are welcome. And remember now that who you really are is this shining light. That everything else is the curtains. And so now you can look at a window and you know the sun is shining in. And that this stuff is in front of it, and you put your hands up and actually open those drapes or those blinds that you see in front of you, and the light spills into your heart, into your mind, And your mind and heart now awaken to that, because that is the truth. That is what has always been there. That core is shining bright. That core is all that you are. It is all that I am. And so breathe into that light and breathe that light in. And to turn like the sunflower that you are towards gratitude. And bring gratitude in, not for whatever that thing was, but for the fact that you are right here and right now, the perfect, innocent, infinite in expression. That you are a gem. You are the most beautiful, wondrous being. And we love you. You are love, and you are loved. And allow that to expand through your being, through your limbs, and beyond into your energy body, your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit. And say, yes, I accept this truth.
Yes, I accept this truth.
And so it is.
Very nice.
Do you have a closing quote for us, perhaps?
I have several things.
You have several things.
One is, I liked this tapping my fingers together. It's a wonderful way to get back in my body and get centered. Because I get in my head so much. So this is, I really like that. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Infinite.
I don't know who it is, but there's a bunch of people who talk about not holding our good too tightly. That good is something that needs to circulate. Okay. I think gratitude works the same way. That it's an energy that needs to circulate. That if I hold on to it, it's as if there's not enough to be grateful for, or there won't be more things to be grateful for. But I also, that open hand is a surrender. It says, whatever comes through me, I can pass on knowing that there's more. There's always more to be grateful for. There's always more love that's going to come through. There's always more joy. So I need to keep my hands open. But that's what surrender is to let go and open my hands. You know, if I'm not surrendering my doubts and my fears, my coldness, my unkindness, then I'm holding on to them. I'm holding on to something. And it needs to let go. And that's all surrender is a letting go of that which does not serve me. So why would I want to hold on to it? You know? I mean, we could go into psychology for that. We're not doing that. But to let go. And yes, I do. Unless you have last comment,
I do. Now that you said that.
And this is where we talk for hours.
And so sometimes surrendering, because surrendering, I'm kind of surrendering the constructs that have kept me together, right?
Yeah.
My beliefs, who I think I am, and all these things. And sometimes that feels very unsafe.
Oh, yeah.
And so to surrender into the unknown feels very unsafe. When I do treatment, or when I go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, and I am not surrendering into the unknown, but at some level I am surrendering into the known, I am surrendering into what might look like the future, but is actually my truth right here and right now.
Yeah.
This awesomeness of life. So when I have that knowing, then it is not a problem. It is not unsafe. There is no reason for the fear and doubt. That makes it sound easy, right? But we can keep bringing ourselves back there. Just, when it comes up, just a kind little, whatever it is. Maybe it is tapping your fingers. Maybe it's a breath. Something to bring us back to that moment of, it's okay because this is the truth of who and what I am.
But I think that you talk about an iterative process.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was first starting in Science of Mind, I had a very vivid image of what happens when I had to let go of something. And I was very tight. I held on a lot. I had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. And when I had to change my mind about something because no matter how much I forced it, it just wasn't working, that belief, I likened it to holding onto a cliff by my fingernails, and life was just prying them up. And I knew that underneath me was this abyss. And if I let go, I was going to fall into that abyss. And I had no idea what was going to happen. It scared the bejesus out of me. But, life kept trying. So at some point, I had to let go. And every single time, I dropped about 3 to 6 inches. My bottomless abyss was 3 to 6 inches. Okay? Once I did that, half a dozen times, I'm not always a quick learner. I got to trust that when I let go, it wasn't going to be a bottomless abyss. And I could handle whatever change 3 to 6 inches equated to. So I think that's part of it. It's iterative. We don't do it. It isn't a one-shot deal, period. And the more we do it, the more comfortable it becomes. The less drama is in my life, for which I'm incredibly grateful. More gratitude.
Buddhism talks about that time when you're pretty far along and you can't see either shore.
Yeah.
And knowing there is a shore.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing, that the dove will alight to go to Christianity or Judeo-Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And now, she has this quote from Emerson. Just wait for it. You're primed.
Actually, I dropped the Emerson part.
She does not have this quote from Emerson. Even though you were ready for it. You're really primed for this one. So am I.
It's what came before the quote, and I just got right with it. This is out of the notes, and I just love it. The biggest surrender of all is to love completely. When we love completely, when we hold that as our highest principle, the pathway to both gratitude and forgiveness unfolds for us. We are able to see more of the world and experience the world as it was meant to be.
I need that one more time.
Thank you. I was going to ask that. It's so tuned. The biggest surrender of all is to love completely. When we love completely, when we hold that as our highest principle, the pathway to both gratitude and forgiveness unfolds for us. We are able to see more in the world and experience the world as it was meant to be. So join me, if you would, in the treatment, in our prayer. For in this moment that is beyond time or space, this moment that is always, in this moment I float in the knowing that there is only one life, one God, one Spirit. There is one life. That life is perfect. That life is Spirit's life. That life is God's life. And that life is my life now. And that life is your life now. Because it is the one life that we share. And this one life seated itself in all of its perfection and glory inside every manifest form, within me, within you. And there is that in me that recognizes the divine in you. And there is that in you that recognizes the divine in everyone around you, because it is who and what you are. It is the truth of who you are. And in that divinity, there is perfection, perfect health, the glory of vitality. Yes, we are in a body, and yes, the body changes, and yes, the body leaves. But our life is perfect, and that perfection is present in every single cell, vibrantly alive. When I recognize the divinity in you, the love that is ever present flows and grows, and so relationships are easy and warm, and I feel connected because the connection is already there. I'm just remembering it. And I see the abundance of life and know that I am part of that energy, that vitality of life, be more life. And I listen to the star seed within me for what is my gift, what blessing am I to this world. And I allow that to sing its song. And it joins the chorus that we all are. And it is a hymn to glory. And for this I am so grateful. And so these words, this intention, this knowing goes from me into the law that makes it so. And so it is.
And so it is.
Suzanne, we're ready for you again.
Okay. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think.
Well, it's our offering time, and this is what is our time of offering, and given financially is a very sacred service. And you give 3 different ways. You give through PayPal or credit card. You send a check to a personal check to the box office, P.O. Box 1841 in North Highlands. And we're so grateful for all of you for donating. YouTube audience, thank you everyone here. We put these donations to positive opportunities of work for us and you. And that being said, if you remain muted on the Zoom, and we'll do our abundance affirmation. And you'll join me here with me. Okay? Abiding by the laws of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good, and so it is. And we also take prayer requests. I'm available if anyone would like prayer. Reverend Debbie, Reverend Patricia, and please send us through our website your prayer requests, because, like I say, we love to pray because we believe it works. And now, we're meeting on the latest news. We're meeting in person. On the first, second, and first, third, and fifth Sunday. What a beautiful center this is. I mean, I'm so impressed, so nice. And and then on Zoom on the second and fourth Sunday. So please join us here. We'd love to have you, and on Zoom and YouTube, wherever you are. And then I'm going to speak about Rise and Speak, Mitch Austin. I call him Mitch Awesome Austin. Mitch Austin, yeah. And his classes start on the first week is
Tuesday. It's coming Tuesday.
January 31st.
Mm-hmm.
To March 14th. It's at 6 to 8:30. And this is limited to 9 students, so please sign up. And you have the price there. And he also has one-on-one coaching for us if we need it. And then my special time I'm waiting for is the presentations on October 30th. That's on a Saturday. No,
That can't be right.
No, it's going to be in March, middle of March, probably St. Patrick's Day or the weekend after.
Okay, St. Patrick's Day or
Around that, yeah.
This says
Okay.
through March 21st, so sometime
okay.
after that. Probably.
Yeah, actually, yes.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is, March 21st. Okay, and so that's on fine. So please sign up if you haven't already. And now we'll do the affirmation for the week.
Actually, let me do one more thing.
Okay, Reverend Patricia.
Let me do one more thing.
I got something
Actually,
to
turn on
The microphone here real fast.
before
Reverend Rick Harrell, who's the new minister at the West Sacramento Church, the Center for Spiritual Awareness.
What's his name?
Rick Harrell, or Harrell, I'm not
Goes
quite
by
sure how it's
Reverend Rick.
Reverend Rick.
Okay.
Yeah, he's casual. He's doing a special prayer for peace over violence tonight on Zoom. We've had a whole lot of shootings lately, and most of us are appalled, horrified, and heartbroken. And this is a way to come together in prayer and treatment, to know that peace is possible and peace always is present. We just need to look for it and find it and encourage its growth. So I have the Zoom connection. Come talk to me if you're interested in that. But it's tonight at 6 p.m. And it's just a Zoom call. So you can do it wherever you are. We actually have 2 spots left in the Rise and Speak class. So, yeah, that are open. And it's a phenomenal course. I don't know if you look at that about everybody has a defining moment, and this is not necessarily a traumatic moment, but there's a moment that things change. And this class is a way of putting language around that so you can talk about it and create a message of hope and strength for yourself and whoever you'd like to share it with. And the last evening is presentations, and it's invited family and friends. It's not like we're going to shove you out in front of an auditorium full of strangers and say, TED Talk, this is not a TED Talk. We're talking like a 10, 12-minute story that you create. I liken it, I don't know if Mitch would liken it, but I liken it to the hero's journey. It's what have I done out of this defining moment in my life? What have I made from it? And if I can put words to it and tell you about it, it makes it more real for me. So I'm taking a class. So I would encourage at least 2 of you, if you haven't signed up already, to come take the class, because it's going to be a glorious thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patricia. And now to do the benediction, and following the benediction
Affirmation.
will be, this is the affirmation we give you to take home for the week, to put it in your heart, say it every day. This one life
is my life right now,
And
I celebrate it out loud.
And following the benediction will be our wonderful Suzanne Baldwin to close with closing song. Okay. Yes. Yes, in gratitude for the service today, for the message from Reverend Patricia and Reverend Debbie, and the beautiful music from Suzanne, and all that are here. So grateful for all this happening today and when we're together, not together. For we're one and we're the same. We come from love and everything that's good, that's divine presence. So we bless our service today. We go home safely. And together in gratitude we say,
And
so it is. And Suzanne, here she comes.
So I'm going to encourage everybody to stand up again. If you want to hold hands, that's fine, and if you don't, that's fine. We're going to sing the song by Ricky Byers called I Release and I Let Go. So I will be doing a little bit of a solo piece first, and then everybody can join. And if you know it, sing it out loud. I find this is a great song for surrender. Yeah. Releasing and letting go. There was